I grew up watching my dad work all the time. And I also had the luxury of living in a really nice area that tourists came and visit all the time. At any given moment, 80% or more of the people in the town that I lived were on vacation. They skied and hiked and went rafting and fishing and horseback riding and playing golf and all kinds of fun things like that. And then I watched my dad just work and work and work and work. He'd leave the house in the morning, he'd be gone all day and come home at 10 o'clock at night. And when he came home at 10 o'clock at night, he would do more work, or he'd talk about work, or even if you were talking to him, you could tell he wasn't really listening because he was thinking about that day, what needed to happen the following day, or looking out months into the future about something completely and totally work-related. And I'm not talking about work as an employee. I'm talking about his own business. And I didn't understand that at all. I was just a teenager. I didn't know. I thought that all this work that he was doing is because he wanted more money. Like we're going to buy a nicer house or car or something as the result of all this work. I thought, why wouldn't you be spending more time hiking and fishing and camping and skiing and doing all the things that the tourists do? Wouldn't that make you happy? This is what these people do when they don't have to go to work. We live in one of the world's great meccas of doing these kinds of things. Surely you're missing out. Surely one day you're going to wake up and regret that you weren't out there doing those things as well. And so I rebelled against that kind of thing. And I worked 6 months a year for my entire 20s. My life's mission was to recreate and have fun and play as much as I possibly could. I lived in places like Maui and Jackson Hole in Alaska and all these wonderful places where I could do all these incredible, exciting, adventurous outdoor activities and other things. I traveled all around the world, over a dozen countries, and I would literally take 6 months or longer off at a time. Every time I had a nickel saved up, I would calculate how much time I could take off from work on that nickel. And after doing that for a decade, I found out that I was tragically wrong. I found that those things, while fun, aren't fulfilling. A person who I consider to be a mentor and the greatest inspiration to me that completely changed my life in a new direction from that phase that I went through that was 10 years long, said, short-term fun equals long-term pain. And that line went into my ear at just the right time in my life, a time when I could nod my head in eager agreement because I had come to the end. I had tried to fund my way to fulfillment, and each passing year was worse than the one that came before it. And all along I realized that my dad, and all this work, this obsessive fixation on creating his own business, I realized that he was the one who had found the answer. You improve your life by pouring your heart and soul and passion into something and giving it 110%. And there is no substitute for that, and nothing could ever possibly compare to the fulfillment that you feel of having poured all that energy and emotion into something and having it succeed. Now, I still love hiking and skiing and fishing and all those fun things, but don't make the mistake that I did in thinking that by doing those all the time, that you will be infinitely happy and fulfilled, because you won't be. Fulfillment comes from doing something challenging. Fulfillment comes from doing something great. So stop trying to get more time off and figure out how you can spend more time on.